Hey everybody, how you doing? Jaquetta Williams here. I like having really in-depth conversations with my friends, and one of them being the Grammy nominated. I got to
Come
add
on
that
now.
to your name, right?
Got
Dana Big Dave Johnson. What's up, friend?
to. What's up? How you doing?
I can't call it. I think it's
Okay.
funny that I'm calling you Grammy nominated. It's far overdue. It is very appropriate. So tell me how you feeling about that.
I feel great. It's so interesting. I was just having some conversations about just the whole thing, and like while the Grammys are just something that as a musician, as a creative, it's just as a kid, it's something that you just always wanted, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's a little bit surreal in a lot of ways. In general, it's an independent. It's kind of a space that is, I'm not going to say unheard of, but certainly difficult to get in. And
Right.
we feel honored that the recognition is there. But in addition to that, I'm just pleased with us in general. I feel like I'm very happy with the work. We work very hard,
Yes.
and I was just reminded by someone. You're like, hey, you don't need no validation, really. Like the validation
Absolutely.
is like you live a comfortable life and you do what you want to do, and so I'm thankful. I'm thankful all around. It's not just one thing. I'm thankful. That's it.
I brought it up because I think, that is a huge accomplishment to get there.
Yeah,
And of course, clinching the win, which I believe you all will be able to do. But
yeah,
I was just talking just recently about, when you work through your life, when you're growing up, when you're young, when you aspire to things and you work hard to get to wherever there is and the
yeah,
thing is. And then when you get there, it has been my experience. I found that it's like, it's nice, but then it's like,
yeah.
okay.
So I mean, 100% transparency. Like, yes, you're right. Like, there is, when you realize what it is. Like, it's not in my mind growing up as a kid and being a musician, like I said, and wanting, I want to win a Grammy. You think that it is, you put out this great work, and then all of a sudden everybody just decides, yes, you get a Grammy, and it doesn't
Right.
really work like that. That's one thing. And if you knew how much money we had to spend to go out here
Yes, to
and
do
look
it.
the part and do the things and do the red carpets and da, da, da,
Campaign.
da, da.
It's a campaign.
Yeah, I could buy damn near a really well equipped 2019 Honda Accord. You know what I mean? For real. For real. Like a really good low miles, great interior, no accidents,
Right,
Honda
right, right.
Accord. Yeah.
I got you. I got you. I got you, friend. I completely get it. So let's
Yeah.
talk about, one of the things you and I, we always have these, in-depth, really thought-provoking conversations when we do have a chance to chat. And one of the things that we talked about was wanting something and needing something.
Right.
Which do you prefer?
Yeah. So it depends on the context, right?
Uh-huh.
So in the context of, like, let's just talk material stuff.
Uh-huh.
Uh it, Hopefully you have everything that you need. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then wanting stuff is nice. Like, I really want a you know a Rolls Royce Phantom. You know what I mean? I really want that. And maybe that can motivate me to work hard and do some stuff. And, like, in that case, it could be very positive. Um, so in that perspective, and then also wanting some of the wrong things could do some of the wrong stuff, right? You could
Yeah.
want something so bad that maybe make some horrible decisions to get that
Mm-hmm.
thing. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
any number of things. You know what I mean? But again, hopefully you have all your wants, or again, hopefully your wants don't overshadow your needs. We all have friends that one of my I mentor some young men, and one of them was saying, my homeboy jumped in the car. He was Rick Owens down, and he asked me, could I turn on my hotspot so he could call somebody on his phone? He don't have no phone service, but you got on $2,000 boots, and that don't make no sense.
Oh,
You're letting your
wow.
needs outpace your wants. You know what I mean?
Right.
So on the material side, that hopefully your needs are covered, and then your wants can either motivate you or kind of push you towards the next thing. But
Right.
I think the conversation that you're referencing, we were talking more in terms of relationships, you
Yes.
know, and
It was relationships. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I realized as I've gotten older, I mean, and I may have always felt this way. I just didn't know how to really like put it in perspective, but I can
mhm,
now at my big grown age. I am much more interested in being needed than wanted because I do realize, growing up, being on television, being, looking a certain way, particularly for women, if your body is whatever, of course, there are going to be a lot of people, a lot of men who will want you. I know now that it's more important for me to be a needed woman than a wanted woman.
okay.
And then, so what do you think about being wanted as a husband or needed as a husband or both?
So that's a little tricky, right? Um, so on one end, it's obviously great to be needed, right? But
Hmm.
um, if you're a person with a certain amount of means, abundance, whatever, it's going to be a lot of people that need you.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of people that want something, need slash want, but need something from you. Like they need security, they need a home, they need this. I
Hmm.
need you to pay for this. But
Hmm.
I feel, in our conversation, I was saying I would rather be wanted and
Hmm.
and, and or slash chosen every day because it's a given. Like I've been married twice,
Hmm.
and I probably needed to be married and some, to work together and do, blah, blah, blah. But I, I want my, I want my wife and I want my wife to want slash choose me
Hmm.
every day
Hmm.
because sometimes she's not gonna always need me. She might make more money than I do. She
Right.
might have a better car than I got. She don't need my car. She don't need me to. She might work out at the gym. She don't need me to protect her. She might got something in her purse where she don't need me to protect her,
Hmm.
but she chooses and wants me to,
Hmm.
and that's important. And on top of that, like there's times where uh in every relationship, whether it's friends, kids, parents, certainly husbands or wives, you don't always like that person in that moment. There might be
Hmm.
times, but you continue to want and choose to be in
With
that
them.
relationship. And so I
Yeah.
guess, we may be kind of just playing semantics a little
Yeah.
bit, but
Yeah.
the idea of wanting and choosing, like a need is something you have no choice. I have to have oxygen. I have to
Right.
have water. I have to have shelter, blah, 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 blah. But I choose to live in Atlanta, or I choose to be married, or I choose, and that's a want. Again, I guess you could argue and get into a semantic thing about that. I don't know. Tell me what do you think of that?
I don't know. I when it comes to being wanted, like I think of it like like in a desired kind of
Sure.
space that I do not want. But I do know that much like you, I want to be needed in someone's life
Hmm.
or needed in my friendships, needed in my connections. Because, like you said, I guess it depends on what the subject matter is, but a want is a want. Like a want is something that you can do without. I want this amazing car, but the car that I have is great. So I don't need it. I just wanted this extra thing. But I
Right.
think a need just feels like it's almost like blood. It's like you said, it is a necessity. And I guess the way that, I think about certain things, there are certain people in my life that they are necessary
Yeah.
for me. And I would not want to go through life without them. So
Yeah.
to me, that indicates that's a need. Now, the other thing too, I do understand like choice, being chosen, but I think again, as women, we live in a society where we men love. We want to be chosen. We
Yeah.
want to be asked. We want to. I don't give a damn about that. Like
Yeah.
I don't want my life to be set up as a woman to where I'm lined up with a whole bunch of, other women or other possibilities, and I want to be chosen. I
Yeah.
want to be needed. And if I'm not needed, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
and
good.
I feel that. I mean, I absolutely agree with that. And like maybe this is, it's interesting because I was having some conversations over the weekend with some other friends about the idea, and I think this has been pushed forth by maybe social media or just whatever, but everything has to be yes, I agree, or no, I disagree. Yes, thumbs up or thumbs down. And
Yeah.
it's not quite that binary. Most things are
No.
not quite that binary. Some things are, but most things
Yeah.
are not. Like I,
Or
I
not.
absolutely agree with you. I
Yeah.
absolutely want to be needed in the right way,
Yeah.
and also want it in the right way, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And kind of, I want to be chosen. Let me ask you this:
Sure.
it, I know, and maybe we're getting into another conversation, or another,
That's
but
fine.
I think some of it is the difference in maybe how men and women think sometimes. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think men think in terms of relationships, we will value respect over
Mm-hmm.
love.
Ah.
And women sometimes will, and again, it's not 100% one way or the other, but women in general will value love and like that connection over respect. What
No, not for me. Like
yeah,
I do know sometimes when you and I talk, I do know my mindset.
yeah,
I know that I'm a woman, but my
absolutely.
mindset can be very different from even when I talk to my friends, my girlfriends,
Yeah,
we do think very differently when it comes to
right.
certain things. Like I am very practical, and I
Mhm.
don't really see love and like idealistic and whimsical and happily ever after.
Yeah,
That's not me.
yeah,
I've never been that girl. I am very what it is what it is. So much like you, more than the love component, I want the respect component. Because I
yeah,
believe if you respect somebody truly, there's certain things that I'm just not going to do
yeah,
because I respect you too much. And I
right,
think people use the word love so they just weave it like it's the word the.
right.
So love, somebody can love you, but they can still do something that is contrary to respecting you, but
Yeah,
still couch it with, but I love you. I slept with this other woman, but I love you. It didn't mean nothing. But if you
yeah,
respect me, there is a part of you that I would like to believe that would never allow you to even think about doing that because you respect me too much and you respect yourself too much and you respect us too much
yeah.
to do that.
Again, I don't know that there's a complete binary. I agree. I agree with you. So
Yeah.
I think in a healthy situation, you need a good balance of obviously love and obviously respect. You know what I mean? You have to, and I agree also, it's difficult to have one without the other
Yeah.
in my estimation. I'm trying to think through that. But yeah, I think you kind of have to have both. They're very closely related.
They
Uh,
are.
and I would almost, if I had to connect, we were talking about wanting and needing versus, I would, I wonder how I would line those up. Is wanting closer to loving and needing closer to respecting,
I think,
or
yeah, I think
would
need,
you pair it
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good analogy. I think that, yeah, because I mean, I'm like, do you want to be loved or do you want to be respected?
there?
Like, if you could only have one, which would you prefer? You could only have one.
It's so interesting because it's hard to imagine one without the other in a
Mm.
relationship.
Huh.
But I think
But people
that
do it all
I
the
would
time.
I would I would it's so I think I would rather be respected.
Me too. I want the respect. Because
I would,
here's the thing I will say too.
yeah.
The older I get, the more I think about love, relationship, where I am at my own life personally, when I see other people who are married like yourself, who have been married twice, and with the second time around, it really seems like it is a cohesive, really well respected connection between two
Yeah.
people. And if I had to put it in words, I would prefer to have that. So, and then I'm
Yeah.
wondering, like, what the hell is love? Like, if I had to quantify it, explain it, say it, I I don't really know what that is. I know what respect is, but love, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's well. There's a song by Music Soul Child. I'm just joking, but I think
You stupid.
I you know
You dumb, Dana. You just being dumb.
well I really think that honestly, you know, love is a culmination of positive emotions about a person, and they include wanting and respect and probably needing. And let me think about that. Do you have to need a person to love them? No, you don't have to need a person to love them. But I think it is a I think it's one of the great mysteries. Like, what is love?
Hmm.
But I tell you this, when you got it, you'll know.
You'll know it. Yeah, you
You know,
will. You'll know it.
it's not always it's not always a positive feeling. Like, do you remember, particularly as a teenager, ever being love sick?
Oh God, yeah.
Like, just like,
There's only one man, one person, one guy. To this very day, to
mm,
this very day, there is like when I think about him,
yeah,
or like there is something that's in here that it never goes away. It's never gone away. It's never gone away.
I know that's right.
Um,
To
and
this,
then there are men who I loved
yeah,
one time, and we didn't break up. And now when I think about, I'm like, did I love him? Did I
yeah,
love him? Or what? Like, was I high? Or was that love? Or was that, I don't know what it was, because I know I don't feel that way now.
yeah. So aha moment. Maybe love is, in that particular case, is the need and continually choosing. It's needing and wanting and continually choosing
Choosing.
to hold a space for that person.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't want to. I can tell you that for sure. I
You
don't,
don't want to. You
I
don't
don't
want
want to
to.
hold space for this man. This man, I mean, and here's the thing, this man is a married man. This man, he went off, he had a whole life or what have you, and so did I, of course. But
Mm,
I have finally gotten honest about, like, the feeling that I had for him has never really left me. That I can honestly say truthfully.
wow.
It has never gone away. And he's had an indelible mark on me, and in a lot of ways, in a great way, in a positive way. And I'm
Yeah.
grateful for it. I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah. I'm trying to
But
think.
I don't like feeling that way.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I feel like that about anybody. I will say at least one of the times where there's been two times where I thought that I was like hopelessly in love, and both times it went so left. I was
Hmm.
so hurt by it. It took me a long time. I mean, one of the ones was in junior high school. There was this girl that met at church, and I won't even say her name, but yeah, oh man, I mean, it was like probably one of the first times, just wide open, just like wanted to
Hmm.
fall asleep on the phone and all of that.
Yes, yes.
And man, so I was still in junior high school, she was in high school, and man, I found out she was giving it up when she got to the high school out of both pants
Oh,
legs, man. And it was,
oh,
man, it went
oh.
so, it went, I mean, it went so left, man.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
that. Well,
bad.
here, I'm not gonna leave you out there on your own. So the person I'm speaking about, this person was somebody who I knew from high school as well. He was my first love, and when I
Yeah,
tell you, experiencing love like that, I don't think I've ever experienced that since then, and I don't think I want to again either, because he was the sun, moon, and the stars for me, like my breath. depended on him breathing. And the thing that I think hurt me the most, because I thought that no matter what happened in life, he and I would always ultimately find our way back to each other, be together, get married, and live a happily ever after life. And never did I ever think in that time that he might meet somebody else, fall in love with someone else, want to marry someone else. And that
Yeah.
someone else did not include me. And
Mm.
and if I'm honest, to this day, that part, and that goes back to being selected or chosen, that hurts me to know that somewhere in there his feelings changed and mine didn't,
Right.
no matter what happened. And I was like, ooh. So, that stings a little bit. But I also realized if we were supposed to be together, we would have been. And
Yeah.
just like if you were supposed to be an old girl, you would have been. And
Yeah.
your whole life path would be different now had
Yeah.
that not
Yeah.
happened. So, you know,
Yeah. And it's again, that brings us back, and you said it, like wanting
mhm,
and choosing, like, what I
mhm,
mean? Like, I'm sure for you to feel that level, that intense level of emotion with and for him, that he had to feel something, he had to feel something as well, right? But somehow there was a choice made
yeah,
based on
there was
whatever.
a choice made. Yep.
And a lot of times, man, let's be honest. As I try to get this shininess off my nose, let's be honest. Well, or at least for men, sometimes we make choices in who we're with based on like other shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
been a couple of times. I could speak of a couple of times in high school. I like to think I was kind of a cool dude, you know what I mean? And there was some girls that maybe liked me that I maybe could have liked, or that, that, wow, she's a really good person. But yeah, the homies would talk crazy if you know what I mean? So
Oh.
that was, and I wasn't necessarily in love with, but I made a choice based on
Mhm.
something. And then, again, this was when I was teenager,
Young. Can I ask a question though about men? Because you mentioned heartbreak and everything. How do men process heartbreak? What does that look like for y'all?
I think in general, we process it a lot. I think men process emotions, many, myself included, in a really unhealthy way.
Which is,
I think that we always are gonna keep nah, man, I don't need this, man,
uh-huh,
shit, well, man, let's
uh-huh,
drink this Hennessy, let's smoke some weed, play some basketball, man, I think a lot of that comes from being hurt,
uh-huh.
and we process it through um, putting another level of what we consider to be masculinity on top of it.
Mhm.
And, some of the homies, like in private would be like, man, oh, man, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I think we start at an early age teaching our boys, man up, stop crying. What you crying for? You fine? Man up,
Yep.
and we teach our young men to kind of be tough, when in actuality we're creating a pressure cooker for them that in most cases, in one way or one aspect of their lives, are not, implodes
Yeah.
and creates like um, a real thing. And I'll take it a step further and say specifically, like, for Black men,
Mhm.
um, you have to be careful, like, how you show your emotion, and like where some, well, Black people, period, I think, not
Mhm.
just Black men, but Black women, as well. Like, you come across too passionate, and sometimes it can be happy passionate or whatever, just loud, or whatever, and it's like, whoa, you're being
Mhm.
aggressive.
Mhm.
Stop being so aggressive. So I think we as men, for fear of looking or sounding weak, or looking
Mhm.
or sounding aggressive, we process things through, like, nah, it's cool, I'm good. Nah. I don't want the world. Nah, we put a layer of masculinity and a layer of cool on top of.
Even when you're by yourself,
It's hard.
when you're not in front of the boys, if you just at the house by yourself and your things did not work out? Or do you have an honest, do you all ever have an honest feeling and or opinion about when it didn't work?
So I'm at the stage in my life, and my current group of evolved close friends, many of them, I think are evolved enough to be like, man, I, I'm hurt. I'm sad, or I feel this way. And I think there is, particularly since the pandemic, but maybe before that, there's just awareness around mental health, and
Hmm.
but that wasn't a thing. That mental health didn't even exist for Black men until like
Or black
2018.
people. Yeah, we ain't have time to be talking about no mental health.
Right.
We trying to survive and live and eat and you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
So I think a lot of us are learning how to process emotions, emotions past anger.
Hmm.
We don't really process fear like that,
Hmm.
but anger and love, and it's like a very limited palette of emotions, where some of that, like, I worked extensively with a therapist over the pandemic because I found that I processed a lot of my stuff through being busy. through
Ah.
through like all my life, I was doing two or three things. I'm working corporate America, playing at church and touring and then this and then that. But when that
Hmm.
all stopped during the pandemic, I had to
Hmm.
sit down and process it. And it's only so much Hennessy you could drink.
Yes.
Found that out over the pandemic. You can only
Right.
drink
But so
so
much.
Hennessy. And then at some point you do have to sit with those emotions. So many of us as men, as Black men, and just Black people, people in general, probably process things with busyness and schedule
Distraction.
and distractions. Like, ah, man, I'm just, I had one of the homies, man. I was like, man, I just feel kind of. He's like, man, son, you probably not doing enough. You need to just start doing some more stuff, get your mind off of it. And that's maybe it's some part of that. Again, is it's not just one answer, but you also have to deal. Like, where is the sadness coming from?
Hmm.
Why are you running from it?
What
Maybe you
made you decide? Okay, are you still in therapy now,
I
or do you
probably
do little
need to be,
check-ins?
but no.
Okay.
I was working with a therapist that I also worked with in part of my personal life, and it just something happened. It just got weird, and I was like, that was weird, and then I couldn't.
Right.
It didn't work
Couldn't.
after
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
but I
But
haven't.
after you
I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, but I was like, but I really miss that. I kind of tried to work with a couple of other people, and I might just need to go back to dealing with that therapist. But um, it, it is so important. It changed that, along with some other changes I made in my life during that time. But it changed how I process myself
Hmm.
quite a bit, and it was tremendously helpful to me. And just to give myself a pressure valve. And I also learned this. Sometimes you're stressed out, sometimes you're sad, sometimes because you just need to drink some water or
Hmm.
exercise a little bit, or take a damn nap. Maybe you just
Hmm.
hungry. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And some of, or maybe you're not eating the right stuff. Some
Hmm.
of that, um, all of that. It's not one thing. It's all of those things. But I think it's so important, and something that doesn't, it's happening far more now in our community than it ever did, clearly. But even having conversations like this, like
Like
thinking
this, yeah.
about, like, how, the nuances of this versus this, and da da da,
Hmm.
having
Sometimes
conversations
you
like
need to
that.
pause though too. Sometimes the thing that you need to do is do nothing. Like I find
Yeah,
sometimes when I'm too something,
yeah.
I've learned how to just stop. I'll
Hey,
just stop until I feel like I need to move again. I stop. Let me ask this question of you though, too, Dana. Since you mentioned, that this is your second marriage. What did you learn from your first marriage that you realize I'm not going to carry it over into my second? Like what did the ending of one thing teach you about moving into another thing?
yeah, I think the main thing was, well, there's so many things, but the main thing I think was be honest about how you feel, even if it means it's going to hurt some feelings, even if it means it's going to be a difficult, contentious, argumentative conversation. It's better to go ahead and do that than, because what I allowed myself to do, I think what in my first marriage, what we both probably did is I think we felt like we needed each other.
Mm.
And so instead of rocking the boat, hey, we'll just put that under the rug. Yeah, and then put that under the rug. And before you know it, the rug is a goddamn wall.
Yes, God. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I really feel like that happened. You know what I mean? It really got to a place where it was like, you know, we got this kid, we got this house, we got these cars and stuff, and let's just ride this shit out. Like it, you
Right,
know.
right.
But yeah.
Oh no, fine. No, we're on stream now. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. You know, and so what I try my best to do differently is, you know, have the difficult conversations, deal with the difficult emotions, deal with it like, hey, when you said that, I
ain't
didn't
like that.
Yeah, that maybe I would prefer if we didn't do that, you know, we didn't say that or blah, 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 blah. And
Do you think women have a hard time dealing with honesty, hearing the honest truth, even though they say they want honesty?
yeah, I think everybody everybody has something that's difficult for them to hear, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, but I do feel like in general, I'm making, you know, large
Sweet.
swipes here when I
I
say
got
this.
you.
I do think in general, I feel like women tend to be a little less practical and a little more emotional about practical things. You know what I
I
mean?
agree.
Um, you know, and it's some stuff you just know your lady, she's not gonna go for that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, see, I work, it just makes sense. I'm gonna have this other girlfriend over here, and it makes sense because sometimes you be tired. And so what no, I mean, you can be honest about that, but that's not gonna go good. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
not not
Right.
here in America. It's not gonna go right. You
Right.
know what
Or like if she said, look, you know, you be in that thing doing your music or whatever. And so when you doing your music, I'm gonna be over here with so and so and so, and we gonna do our thing over here. Yeah, like
I
you're
mean?
no,
That's not gonna go
that
good.
ain't gonna
So
quite.
yeah, it's just not, that's not gonna go good, you know. So I mean, but on the flip side of that, if that's honestly where you are and that's honestly what you like need and want, then you got to be honest about that. And maybe it means that that relationship that you're in now is not going to work.
Right.
And I'll be 100% transparent in mine. Like in my first marriage, I just did some of that and didn't have some of that conversation, if just to be honest.
I
And,
got you. I got
and
you.
my ex-wife said to me, hey, if you had just said that, maybe we could have figured it out. You know what I mean? And which was like, well, you know, but
Okay, so hold on, pause. Hold on,
and
because I
that's a
want to
whole
go.
that, well, no, no,
Hold
no,
on,
no, no,
hold
no,
on,
no.
hold on.
I
Let me
don't
just say,
necessarily want to go down that.
we ain't got to go down that road. We ain't got to go down that road. But the
Yeah,
one thing I do think that's important is, like you just said, had you come to her with a conversation about, hey, this is what I'd like to do, you
yeah,
know, because you're right. There are all kinds of ways that people decide to be in relationship
yeah,
and in marriage.
yeah.
And those two people can dictate how that works, not, you know, the outside world or what have you.
And that's a whole other ball of wax because you think that might be. I have a couple of homies. I have multiple people that I know that tried to do that, and every single time it went left, and not in the way that they thought it was going to go.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so just for the record, that's no longer what
Yeah,
I, you know what I mean, just for,
absolutely.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I
But
get
that's
it.
directly into the camera. But
Right.
also, again, you know, I think having a level of intelligent honesty is important, you know, on the very
Yeah.
fundamental things. You know, if you gotta still be slipping and dipping and all that, you just maybe,
Maybe this ain't for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
You
that
should
it
be
ain't,
single.
yeah,
Yeah, you should do whatever it is you want to do, which is why I think that, I mean, not for that reason, but I'm just like, you know, I think I've gotten to the point where I'm just too tired to even try to come to terms with being with somebody. Like my life is very comfortable and peaceful as it is. I enjoy these
yeah,
conversations like we're having, and I just don't have the stress of anything else, and I don't want it.
You're
If I
saying,
could find if I could find somebody who was like a lot like me, it would be a better match because,
yeah.
you know, but oof,
So wait, so you're saying you just don't have it in you to just be in a relationship.
I don't think I do. I
Okay.
think that the only energy that I have enough for right now, Dana, if I'm honest, I would have to know whoever this person, man, I was that I met was the right person for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'd have to know, like, okay, this person is the right person for me, so I'm willing to go down that road with. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to get to know them. I'm willing to do the ebbs and flows. But if I got to go through a process
yeah,
of, this man to get to the one, no,
yeah.
I don't have the emotional desire. Like I dated a lot, in my 20s and 30s. I know what I want. I know what I don't want.
Yeah.
And to have to go out and sit down and talk,
So, so,
no.
so you don't have the energy for the casual part. Like, casual's maybe not the right term, but the ramping up of what would be a serious relationship. You don't have the,
No, I don't have it. I'm tired.
wow, okay.
Because here's the thing, even if you ramp up, like if you do the casual thing and you
Mhm.
realize this ain't it,
Yeah,
and then you do it again and you ramp up and you're close, and you're like, this ain't it. To me, that's emotional, labor that I've put out, and I just so the next guy, I'm like, I got enough energy, I
yeah.
promise you, for one last one,
Mm,
and that's it. And if he never comes, then he never comes. But I tell you, I know me, I don't have it.
yeah.
I ain't got it.
So I mean, I'm not. I'm trying to say this in the most.
Just say it.
So you don't ever just kind of just need the closeness of another person. I'm trying to say this in the,
I
you know what
used to. You mean like intimacy or sex
I mean? Yeah,
or
yeah, sure.
physicality? Yeah. You know what? There used to be a time when I did, when
Yeah.
and there was somebody I went to for that. Somebody I
Okay.
was very comfortable with. We
Yeah.
were very, but I don't know what has happened. Something happened to me when I turned 40, and
Mm,
something happened to me when I turned 50.
mm,
And like I thought I knew who I was at 40. At 50, Dana, I'm so clear about who I am
yeah.
and do what I like, connection and the things that you're talking about. Absolutely.
Mm,
But the way the world is and the way people are now, the way men are now, it scares me way too much.
hmm.
Way too much.
Do you think that I had another female friend that was saying that the population of desirable men are so spoiled by the mismatch of the amount of available desirable women
Yeah,
that it makes it difficult. Even the good guys ain't shit because they're dealing with they have so many options. Do you believe that?
I believe it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe it. But I also believe that people, particularly men, have changed in that I do believe that some men believe that they're the prize. I do believe that there are men who want to be courted by
yeah,
multiple women. I do believe that there is an abundance. So I feel like men don't feel like they have to do anything. They're lazy. And then I do think that there are a large number of men who are just selfish. I do, like, at the core, I think the most people are selfish, but I do think that there's something about, men. And unfortunately for women, particularly Black women, we are less inclined to want anything other than a Black man.
hmm,
And so because of that, it makes our selection process, like you said, it is just I don't know what it is in the world now. I can't even come up with a word for it, but it is just deplorable.
yeah.
And not that I want some man running behind me. I'm not saying that. I just want to have, somebody who is intelligent, emotionally intelligent, who I can have conversation with, who I can be with, and I can say, hey, it's you and me rather than you, me, her, and her. and
Yeah.
and again, because there's so many, things that are out there, if you share your body with somebody, the risk, I just don't want any of that, and I don't want anybody playing with me emotionally.
Right.
So I just it is safer being in my bubble, and it's good here. Like if God said, I'm gonna bring you tomorrow, I'd be
Yeah,
like, okay, God, because I'm not, I don't, I'm good. I'm
I
good.
feel that. I feel
And
that.
and let me say this too. I also believe that when you have the ability to manage your sexual desire,
Yeah,
when you really do know how to, can I be attracted to somebody? Absolutely. But I also have the capacity to know just because I'm attracted doesn't mean I have to lean into anything.
right. Yeah,
That physical intelligence, it's a beast to master, but when you get it, there is
yeah.
nothing and nobody that can squash it when you have that intact.
I agree with that 100%. Like I
Yeah.
think that was one of it's 100% transparency. Like one of the things um I think as men in particular that when you master that, so much of your life, so much of your life gets a lot easier, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And I would say so much of black male culture is around masculine bravado, and or at least I can speak for myself. Growing up, it was about like, I'm from Oakland, California, man. You had to be, I got, you got, what I'm saying, I got, even in high school, when you go out, how many numbers you got? I got 6 numbers. I get, what I mean? It's like a thing that is
Hmm. It's
your,
sport.
yeah, it's like sport. The part of your validation is
Hmm.
around how lucky you are with the women. And you get to a certain place and it can get stressful. Like it's like, man, I'm dealing with, you're like, oh my goodness.
But it's so small too. It's so remedial for a man to be able to dictate how manly he is by how many numbers and women he can knock down. That does not say masculinity. That says small.
Yeah,
You're
what I
small.
learned is there's so many other things I think that not that you should be measured, but there's so many other things that sex and the idea of female validation can shield you from. A lot of the cats I know, not all of them, but a lot of the cats I know that was like, they was super players, and they peak out at a certain point. It's like you
Yeah.
spent so much of your life and so much energy trying to be a super player, and then you get to a stage in your life, it's like, oh, okay, now I don't have anything. Like I spent all my time doing that. And
But
listen, but
sometimes
I
I wonder about men. This is the other thing about why I'm not pressed. Because when I really look at it, I'm like, I respect you, Dana. There are people who I'm like, there are men who I'm like, I respect that brother. But
yeah,
again, broad stroke, what do we have? Why do I want you so bad? Like you can't honor one woman.
yeah,
You cannot behold or uphold your family.
yeah,
You cannot keep your physical member that's in your pants because you've decided I want to be with this woman. But no, you want to be with multiple women. And so it really that's another thing about being in my 50s. It's changed the way what I respect about men and manhood. And when
mhm.
I really go through it, I'm like, it ain't a lot to respect.
Yeah. Well,
It ain't a lot to want.
whoa,
And again, I'm saying in broad
whoa.
terms, Dana, broad terms. I'm
So,
not saying you.
I will say this. I think that for men and women, the early part of our lives, we're more, not more. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that we are at some level animals and at some level connected to pure biology? Do you think that pure biology controls some part of the way we move through life? Let me
You mean
back
like
up.
urges or desires or just being
Yeah,
animalistic?
yeah. So let me just say, I think that we're mammals, right? And I think that there's certain things that certainly huge things that separate us from you know monkeys and dogs and cats and everything else. But we are also you know, so I think early in life, there's a lot that your body tells you you're supposed to be doing that doesn't line up with how you move through your whole life. Like, I think there is a time in your life where I remember, I want to say I was probably in the 4th or 5th grade, but I remember the first time I noticed, excuse me, but I noticed a girl's butt, and I was like, I don't know what it is about that,
but I liked it.
but that got my attention right now, like for real. Like
Yes,
I'm
yes.
thinking about that,
Right,
you know.
right.
And so I think there's a time, and then as we move through life, we move more towards, okay, we're able to control it, and or we found the balance between our brain and what tells us, you know, to be less like
A dog.
a beast and more like a human, you know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
I do think a lot of us as men um, connect that time in our lives with feeling a certain kind of way, you know, and there's a lot of validation and a lot of just physicality and hormones and chemicals and things that go along with even being addicted, like going into just being addicted to getting your validation, your uh, all of the chemicals in your brain that make you feel a certain thing to dealing with women and or having physical relationships with women. So I think that's at least where some of it comes from. I'm not making a necessary excuse for it, but and I think
I
that could
kind of
go
think
both
you're on.
ways.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
here's the thing. I agree with everything that you said in regards to as you're growing up and you're discovering anatomy, you're developing, you're learning about sexuality.
yeah,
Absolutely. I absolutely. But by the time you're 40,
yeah.
50,
You should be.
like if you're still being led by your urges and butts and this, that, and the other, because I mean, you done seen plenty of them by now.
Yeah, yeah,
So my thing is I still stand very firm on the fact that I think it is honorable when you can meet a man who can stand firm in the fact that he's made a choice about someone who he wants to live his life with,
yeah,
and he's committed to doing that.
yeah,
There are fewer men who I've come in contact who are willing to do that, rather than men who they can have their situation here, but they can also have some other things or desires that they want over there. And
yeah,
again, that I'm not judging it, that's fine. I'm
yeah.
just saying I respect somebody who makes a decision and stands on it. That's
I,
all.
I think it's just important to be clear about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I know a couple of cats that are, hey, this is what I'm on. This is what it is. You either rock with it or you don't
Or you
rock with it.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's either way, it's cool. We could be friends, we could be this, we could be that. But this is what it is. You know what I mean? You know what it is.
And
And
it's so funny. I just talked to a friend of mine. She was telling me how men are very clear about
yeah,
letting you know what type of time they own. And women have gotten to the point now where I think as women, we got to let men know what kind of time we're on and stand on it. If you
yeah,
into it, cool. But if you not, like if our pages and books we ain't on,
yeah,
appreciate you, I'm
yeah.
out. Which
And
is why I ain't doing it.
and look, I would say I think there's more women on that than we know about because y'all tend to be a lot smoother in planning and kind of hiding
We
some
are
of
cunning.
those things.
We are very cunning.
Yeah,
We can be very cunning. And I think life, but here's the thing, I don't think we were always that way. I think life and the way the world and men and relationships have evolved, and how
yeah,
we've watched consistently men do things over and over and over and over. And we are trying to be, hold him up, hold him down, love on him, da, ba, ba, ba. And
mm,
now we're like, oh, okay, now I'm going to read out of your book. Now
yeah,
I'm going to play the game you're playing. And I don't think everybody
yeah,
likes that so much.
yeah. Because
Here's,
because I think marriage is not for everybody. You know what I mean?
no,
And
it
some
is not.
people, like, it's a choice. It's something that you have to choose. You have to choose it every, back to our original thing. You have to choose it
Choose it. Yeah.
every day. And you don't necessarily, I mean, maybe you need it, but maybe you don't, but you choose it because, again, we're just tying all the terms we talked about because of love and because of so many other things, man. But I will also say that, like, well, yeah, no, it just comes back to what we were saying. Just being honest with yourself about what it is that you want. Like, I think that it's great that you're very clear about, I'm good. I don't have it in me to
Mhm.
deal with, no, if it's going to be something, I'm gonna need to know what it is, like, immediately. I don't have it in me to get to a certain place and find out that it didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to know. That's an important thing to know, and it kind of saves you from,
Hmm.
bringing somebody else into a situation where, hey,
Hmm.
I'm the first sign of some bullshit. I don't have no
I'm
time.
out.
You know what I mean?
I'm
And,
out.
yeah,
And
and
here's
that
the
I think
thing,
that's really
and
important.
I know, and the thing about it, I know if I were hurt by someone again, like I know me so well now, like that would close a door for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah,
And I know I already have the capacity to be cunning, to play a game. I know these things
yeah,
about me. I know it. I don't really like some of them, some of the things, but I know it. So if you want to play a game, I can play one. And I don't want to do that. I just don't want to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. I don't want to do
Some-
that.
Sometimes the games are fun. I mean, as long as it stays on a certain court, it's a certain amount of.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they call it courting. You know what I mean? Because it's a
Hmm.
little bit of game, and it should be. But we're talking about
Yeah,
too.
I don't give a damn about that no more. I'm like, y'all go ahead and play. I'm not, I'm finished. I'm gonna sit on the sideline and watch. My last
So
question, Dana. No, go ahead.
okay, I'm sorry. No,
No,
no, I
no,
was gonna
no.
say,
You go.
if the right person showed up, like, how would you know? Like, you could meet the right person, and
There are certain things that I've noticed in my faith with God that I've asked for in my career in certain, and every time I've done the thing that I've done with him, I've known this is where he wants me because I specifically said something,
yeah,
and he was like that was the answer.
yeah,
So now in this space, and I've we've talked, me and God have talked about this. I was like, I need to have these things, and if these two things happen, then I'll know this is the person. So I'll know.
I feel that.
I'll know. I'll
Yeah.
know. My last question is, what do you love about being Black?
Hmm. There's so much I love about being Black. One of the main things I love about being Black is that, and it's so funny you asked this, because I was just having this conversation about a week ago. We are natural creators, and we create so many things, and that the world takes, not takes, we offer them to the world, and and it changes the world. Of course, I'm partial to music, but think about this. Every single form of modern music was developed by people of color, black people specifically. Yeah, tell me one that wasn't. I'll wait. Maybe classical. Maybe you could say. I don't know. I don't know. But jazz, country, R&B, rock and roll, pop, all of it. Hip hop, obviously, which in the last 30 years has completely changed the way music looks and sounds. We created it all. The thing that, just as a quick addendum to that, the thing that I want us to be better with in that space is create it and then own it,
Mm-hmm.
and because we often create and then we own something else. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And blues is not Black no more. You know what I mean?
Country ain't Black no more.
Jazz
Mm-hmm.
is not Black no more. Hip
Mm-hmm.
hop is on the way to not being Black anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so we lose. I mean, look at rock and roll. Rock and roll at one time was, like, when you don't think of Black people when you think of that in general. Or
Mm-hmm.
country
Mm-hmm.
music, you don't think of Black people when you think of that. And so I wish that we owned a representative, a equal part of to our contribution to that segment of business,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't tend to own those businesses. So And there's other reasons around that, but
Of course.
I love the pool of genius and creativity that comes with being Black. That's one of many things. I could go on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dana, I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it. And of course, we will be rooting for you when
Yeah.
Grammy time comes around. When the actual, are you going to go to? You guys are actually going, yes?
Yes. We were actually supposed to leave for LA today, but many of the things, unfortunately, during Grammy week were canceled because of the fires.
The fires.
So we'll leave probably Thursday night and stay there through probably Monday or so.
Well,
I will ask one favor of you.
Sure.
When we do this again, tell me to iron my shirt, please. Okay. Just send me a text.
Ain't nobody looking at you. They looking at my blackity black shirt, brother. That I'm wearing.
Yes, I love that. Yes,
people.
thank you for your support. Yeah, but just send me a quick text like, "Hey, bro, iron your shirt, my guy." All right.
Okay.
I love you, sister.
I love you, man. I love you down.